Welcome to Michael's Record Collection. I am very excited to have with me for this show Martin Sweet and Peter London from the band Crashdiet. How you guys doing?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, really good.
New album coming out April 29th called Automaton. Been listening to it the last several days and really enjoying it. Looking forward to getting into the discussion about the album with you guys. But first, I want to start out by asking the two of you, because I just generally like to get sort of the feel of the background of everybody I talk to. What was your first favorite record?
Do you know?
I know mine.
Yeah.
It all started with Appetite with the Guns N' Roses. It's
Okay.
like it. I remember it. I was a kid, but I heard it, and the sound just caught me, and yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. First record that I liked, or
Yeah, yeah. Just what the first one that you really kind of gravitated toward.
uh, must have been when I was 7, and I bought the Europe album, The Final Countdown, which was really big in Sweden and actually the rest of the world. Come to think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty big here too.
Yeah.
So this is your sixth studio album, the first since 2019's Rust, and this is if people aren't familiar with your music here in our country, it's like a glam sleaze metal, whatever you want to call it. I just call it hard rock. I just kind of put everything under the hard rock umbrella.
Yeah.
Very melodic, and I think there are hints of. I hear a little bit of Skid Row, maybe some '80s Scorpions, some Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, and Poison. But it's got a more modern sound to it than the classic hair metal bands. I think I was listening also to Rust today, and maybe you could talk a little bit about the production of this album, because it seems to have like a little bit of a slicker production and a little bit different sound than Rust.
Yeah, it's a bigger production. The Rust album was pretty much recorded in our rehearsal room, in a very like cheap way. And this new album, we went into a top-notch studio in the south of Sweden, and recorded everything in a few weeks. So the difference is very big.
Yeah, it does definitely has a bigger and better sound to it.
Mm.
So the band right now, the two of you, Gabriel Keys is your vocalist. He's been with you the last this album and the previous album, and Eric Young on drums. Gabriel's voice to me sounds very similar in timbre to maybe Tesla's Jeff Keith. I think he sounds
Yeah.
very similar to him, but very good singer. And of course, you guys have had a little bit of a rocky history in terms of vocalists. Of course, the tragic death of Dave, years ago. And I wanted to kind of go back to that 2002 time. I know it was a painful time for you guys, but I know after 6 albums now, this one about to come out, are you pleased with the decision to move forward with the band after Dave passed away?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think we could have done it any other way.
Yeah. It was like we realized then at that point, how many fans we actually had all over the world, and they kept telling us to not give up yet. Then
I
we're like,
mean,
oh,
when-
perhaps we should.
when Dave passed, we had only played in Scandinavia and
Yeah.
like the UK.
Yeah.
So we were quite like in our world, we hadn't done anything yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
And yeah, the fans convincing us was a big part of it.
Yeah.
And this album starts off with a short opening track with "Voice from the Past." Maybe you can tell me how that little title track came to you, and how that came to be.
Well, we worked with a producer on this album, Andreas, who was very much involved in the songwriting throughout like even before we hit the studio. So this happened, and like after we'd been in the studio, we came home and he was like, I have this idea for an intro, we need something to set the tone. And we were like, nah.
Yeah, I remember that. No,
we don't need any
absolutely
intro.
not. Yeah,
No.
exactly.
But then he played it for us, and he just kind of tested us, I
Yeah.
think, and put in Dave's voice in the end, and it was like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
So we kept it.
Yeah.
And I mean, now that we've learned to live with it, it actually sets the tone of the album pretty good,
Yeah, and I think a nice touch for your longtime fans to have Dave's voice kick off the album.
Yeah. I think so too.
So far, I think you've released 2 singles off the album, "No Man's Land" and "Together Whatever." And I mean, "Together Whatever" is really musically sort of the first, what I would call a song on the album. The first one is just a little bit of a sort of and like you said, a table setter.
Yeah.
And it's a fun, bouncy song, hard rock, and I think that kind of weaves throughout the album. Like, most of these are very catchy, anthemic arena rock songs. You got "Shine On," that's got that great "Hey, hey, hey" chants, which is probably going to be great live when the audience is doing that back to you.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, what was tell me a little bit about the writing process. You mentioned your producer was involved with the writing. How involved was that, and did you have an idea in your mind when you started writing the songs of where you wanted the album to go?
We didn't have an idea, actually, what kind of an album we wanted. We just wanted to make the best album we could make, and it was kind of new for us to bring in a producer who was like playing around with our songs.
Yeah, that's true.
But it was kind of a breath of fresh air, because you can get locked up in old melodies and old, so the songs that he's involved in, you can hear, there's like a new kind of melody in certain songs.
Yeah,
that's kind of nice as a change. For a change.
One of the hallmarks.
We've always like written songs separately. Like I sit in my studio, and the drummer sits in his studio, and he also plays guitar. And then we kind of put our heads together in the studio in the end.
One of the hallmarks of this album throughout is the big backing chorus vocals, the group vocals. And I know I can't, you were in the studio, maybe you could speak to this. How many times did you layer these vocals? Because it just sounds like so big.
I think there's like a magic magic number when
Yeah.
you reach like 100 overdubs, then you get that like it starts, something happens, you know, after
Yeah.
100 overdubs.
Yeah. Pretty big songs.
Yeah.
I think maybe my favorite song on the album is Darker Minds. It's a mid-tempo song, not really a power ballad. I don't think it's slow enough to call it a ballad, but it's got standout harmony guitar in it. It's got it's not one of the heavier, rockier tracks, but it's very melodic. And there was a time in this country when that song would have been a huge hit single. Maybe not today. With it's a little more plastic and generic and poppy now in the in the
Yeah.
radio scene here, but I'm wondering what sort of inspires you to write in this style. Is it that is this type of music bigger in Scandinavia, or are you still on the fringes even in your own country?
I think melodic hard rock is bigger in Europe than in
Yeah.
overseas. They play a lot of melodic hard rock on the radio right now. It's become very big.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like the last 5 years, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this other band, Eclipse, is really big now in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we didn't deliberately try to copy that. It just was a great song from the demo stage. And you know, we write a lot of songs when we make albums. We often write like 30, 40 songs, and then we pick out the best ones. And sometimes they're really soft, sometimes they're really heavy. It's just all about the best tune for us.
Yeah, you mentioned you guys that heavy rock or hard rock is getting played on the radio in Europe. Are these singles getting radio play there?
We'll see, but they're supposed to play our
Yes.
a single today.
Tonight.
We've been doing interviews all day, so we haven't listened.
Yeah, we have.
But they were gonna play it today, so we'll see what happens. But they play some of our old songs quite frequently.
Yeah.
On rock radio in Sweden.
Great. Are you in Stockholm now? Where am I speaking to from? This looks like somebody's studio or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's my home, but it's my home studio, and we're in Stockholm.
Okay. Dead Crusade. That's a song that ratchets the rock factor up after Darker Minds, and I think it's one of the heavier songs on the album. I was curious as to what sort of inspired this harder track on the album.
Well, the riff, like the instrumental track, was something that Eric wrote, and then he kind of emailed it over to me, and he like put some vocals on this. So me and Gabriel kind of spontaneously just wrote those lyrics and vocals really fast. And I think the idea was kind of like all these rock stars that are dying all the time, they must be in some sort of rock star heaven or hell. And that's kind of the Dead Crusade. You know, you remember the movie Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
And there's like Titanic just came back from the ocean, and all these ghosts like wandering from the boat up to the city. Like that's the idea I had in my head.
Oh wow.
Maybe that's a music video.
Yeah. Yeah. Could be.
That would be interesting. You could have
Yeah.
a line of rock stars coming out. Of
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe too expensive.
So another of my favorites is "We Die Hard." Really shows how melodic this kind of rock and roll can be.
Yeah.
What was the start of that song? Did you write that, Martin?
Yeah, actually I did. Yeah. I mean, I think the title says it all. You know, we're we're not giving up. You know, we've had some rough times, but it's not going to be easy to make us quit. And I think that's kind of what the song is about. You know, it's a life that we choose. You know, maybe we were born to lose, but it's a life that we chose. So, yeah.
Powerline features Michael Starr from Steel Panther. How did that collaboration happen?
We met the guys on some festival, and they're really, really cool guys. Like, you know, they're not as crazy as they might seem. You know, they're very normal people. But they're fans of Crashdiet, it turned out. So skip forward like 10 years. I don't know.
10 years, I think.
We just had this idea to have some sort of guest appearance on the album, and Steel Panther just popped up. You know, they like us, we like them, and we just asked Michael, you know, you wanna sing on a verse, you know, on our album? And he was like, yeah, dude, let's do it. So it's everything happened really. It was really easy and like smooth.
Yeah.
So let me ask you about the recording of this album, because your last album came out in 2019. This one's just about to drop. And I don't know what the pandemic was like in Sweden, but I know a lot of the bands that I talked to elsewhere in Europe, they had to do all their parts separately and kind of send them in and that kind of thing. How did Automaton come together during this pandemic time?
We tried we tried to like put together all the pieces separately at first. You know, we tried to record some of the guitars at home and did the drums in that studio, and we did those drums, and that's like, it was a mess in the beginning, but we wanted to do it here in Stockholm, but we just couldn't focus on finishing the album. So we kind of scrapped those plans and decided to go down south to Gothenburg and just record the whole album in a few weeks in the same studio. So there was no restrictions in that studio.
No.
So you were able to be in the studio together and bounce ideas off of each other.
That was great. That was like the most fun we've had during the pandemic, because we haven't played any shows. Well, we played one show, but
but it was so
I hardly
fast.
remember it.
Yeah, I saw on your website that it seems that you've had to push back a South American tour a few times.
Yeah. And also
others.
Australian tour, also waiting for new dates, and hopefully that will happen.
Yeah.
You know. So that's a bit sad that the only thing you can post online is like, oh, we have to move this, we have to cancel that.
Have to cancel this,
like
cancel that.
No good news. So now finally we have like good stuff to post online.
Yeah. That feels really good, actually. to post positive news. It's been great.
Yeah, I'll bet. So you guys are able to now do shows in Sweden. Is Europe open to touring now, or is it just kind of a country by country thing?
It seems
fairly open.
Yeah, exactly.
From what we've heard, there shouldn't be any bigger hassles to do Europe. You know, it's when you go overseas. You know, it's a bit more difficult. So we'll see. It's a 4-week tour, and we're really hoping we can do all of the dates.
that we can, yeah, yeah, we really hope.
Mm.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that the in preparing these, is it a different world now? Do you have contingencies for if shows need to be canceled? You know, is some of that stuff being added to contracts ahead of time now?
I don't think we have it in the contracts, but at least I have it in the back of my head that, you know, that you have to prepare for the worst, but hope for the best.
Yeah.
And that's probably gonna, it's probably gonna be like that for a long time, because there have been so many disappointments during these 2 years. You know, shows canceled on very short notices, and it's like it's been tough.
Yeah, sure. Where is Crashdiet popular outside of your home country? What, you know, where are the fans really embracing your music?
South America is it's very good. That's like I think that's where we draw most
Yeah,
biggest audiences.
Argentina and Brazil has been
Yeah.
our biggest headlining shows, I think.
But also like certain countries in Europe and UK are quite good.
Yeah,
But it's like from city to city, it's so different. It can
Yeah,
be so different.
exactly.
I mean, in the States, we did that was quite some years ago, but I mean, in the big cities, we did some really good big shows, and then we could play like in the middle of nowhere, and there was like
Yeah,
7 people. So
Yeah.
the contrasts were like crazy.
So you've only done the one tour through the U.S., is that right?
We've done the one large tour, like 5 weeks tour, but before that, we did some shorter,
yeah,
like
a week
a week or
here
two,
and there.
yeah. It's in the bigger cities.
Mm-hmm. So I don't want to embarrass any particular towns out there, but where have you been that you didn't have a whole lot of people in the building?
But I don't think it's the town's fault. It's
Right.
the
Promotions.
idiot who booked the tour, you know. Because there were like dates added to the tour as we were on the tour. So
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
so it was like there was no way that the city would know that we were gonna be there, because they just added the show like a few days ago. So but I mean, I remember playing in El Paso.
Yeah.
And there was no stage. There
Oh,
was
man.
nothing.
And wasn't that the first show on the US tour?
I don't know. I hope
I
not.
think it was, and I'm like, okay, is it gonna be like this now? Yeah.
I can't remember, but I remember we had
I
to
think it was.
take these chairs and kind of like build some sort of stage, and
Yeah.
it was pretty funny. But that was
And it
that
worked
was
out fine, you
that
know,
was
but-
like an extreme example. I mean,
Mhm.
most of the shows were pretty good, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, I think so
But
too.
obviously biggest in like New York and California.
Yeah. You were able to play, I guess, somewhere on the Sunset Strip. You were able to play where so many of the bands
Yeah.
that have influenced you, this type of
Yeah.
music, have
Yeah.
played in the
Lot.
past. What was that like for you?
Dream come true.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
To me, it was the highlight of our career to play the whiskey
Twice.
and see your band's name on that sign. It was like, oh wow, dude. It it was really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you got a lot of pictures of that marquee, huh?
Yeah, we do actually.
That's awesome. How many shows do you have planned for this tour? Forgive me if you've already said. I'm old. I forget things.
It's 21 shows, I think.
Yeah.
In Europe.
4 weeks, and then we have a couple of one-off shows all around Europe, and like after the summer, and pretty open for the fall.
Yeah.
For something to get booked.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You have any festivals that you're doing?
Mostly in Finland, right?
Yeah, and Spain.
There's a festival in Spain.
Yes.
Ah, nice. Yeah, there's
Cock Rock.
Cock, yeah.
That's the name of it, Cock Rock.
Yeah. Yeah.
COQ.
Okay,
Rock.
Yeah.
it's a little bit different.
It's in Belgium.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you have anything special planned for the album release?
We're gonna have some sort of listening party, like the day before release, and then we're pretty much gonna rehearse and get ready for the tour. The kicks off May 4th in Stockholm. So it's yeah, and we're actually releasing a beer here in Sweden.
Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
So we're gonna let the fans try that one out at this listening party.
Yeah.
So it's
All
gonna
right.
be a wet party.
All right, tell me a little bit about this beer. What style of beer is it? What is Crashdiet? What type of beer does that conjure up for you?
Oh man, it's an ale actually, but it's not very
Bright or
it's a bright ale. It almost tastes like a lager. And I mean, we actually haven't tasted the end product,
no.
but we did a bunch of tests before they went to production. You know, this is how we wanted. We didn't want a beer that tastes too much. You want to be able to drink a lot of them, you know, during the night.
So not too heavy, not too bitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is the name of the beer just Crashdiet?
It's going to be called Automaton, actually.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
I think it would be an interesting concept to have a beer called Crashdiet. This is
Yeah,
strange. Like this is what diet I'm on. I'm drinking this beer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a favorite song on this album?
That's the same as you. We Die Hard.
Yeah, it's my favorite as well.
Right now, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to play live.
Yeah.
Are you dropping another single on the album release date?
Yes.
Which one is it going to be? Can you tell me? Is that a secret?
I don't know.
I don't know if I don't know if that's gonna be if it's a secret. I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, it's the one with the guest appearance. So there you have it.
There you go. All right. That's a good song.
Yeah, we didn't say anything.
I didn't say anything.
You didn't. Yeah, you didn't tell me the name. You didn't tell me
No.
the name of it. That's good. You're in the clear.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the reception for this is. Oh, look, we got another guest.
Yeah.
Who's this?
What heter du? This is Julia, my
Hi.
daughter. She's 4.
Oh, that's a great
It's
age.
nighttime.
What time do you have? What are you? 6 hours ahead? What are you about 7:30 there? 8:30?
Yeah,
Yes,
7:30.
correct.
7:30. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I won't keep you much longer because it looks like this one's getting ready for bed.
Yeah, someone's ready.
He's got things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just curious as to when somebody buys this album and they listen to it all the way through, what do you hope that they take away from that experience the first time that they hear this album?
Euphoria. I think it's a very uplifting album,
Yeah.
actually. It has a lot of energy and positive energy.
Yeah.
I think. I hope it gives them a positive vibe.
And we need that,
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah,
For all the shit. So
absolutely. Yeah, I'm in total agreement. This is the kind of music that can put you in a good mood, and I think that
Yeah.
if there was ever a time in all of our lives where we need to be in a good mood and just
Second half.
let loose, I think this is it. And I
Yeah.
think this is a good album to provide a soundtrack to that. So you guys should
Yeah.
be very proud.
Saying goodnight to Uncle Peter.
good night, Julia.
All right. Well, I'll let you go and get her to bed. Thank you guys so much for your time. The album is called Automaton. It's Crashdiet's 6th album, comes out April 29th, Golden Robot Records. Guys, thank you so much for spending some time with me and telling me about this. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. It was nice talking to you.
Thanks.